Well, I'm delighted to be here in Dubai at the Shangri-La Hotel with Angela Calnan from Collas, Crill, good friend of PCD. Angela, terrific to see you.
Great to be here. Lovely to see you. Yeah, lovely to be back in Dubai together. So
great.
Yeah,
well, you were at one, I think, our very first event, maybe 2014 here. I seem to remember at the Palace.
Yeah, definitely.
Seems like many moons ago now.
Yeah, we were outside then, weren't we? We're sort of debating whether it was too hot to be having an event outside. It was brilliant. It was really good. Yeah.
But you've been a regular visitor to Dubai. You've got many friends, contacts, clients here. I mean, it'd be great to get a sense of what your take is on this market, what you do, and people you like to meet here as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I used to work here, so I've been coming here since 2009. And obviously haven't been here for a couple of years, but it's lovely to be back. And I think this is probably the first event that everybody's been able to go to. So like really high energy here. Lots of people have been delighted to meet us, which has been great. And really good news in the region. So loads of activity. All of the onshore structuring is taking off. So lots of new products coming online for people, and that solves the difficulty that we've always had in looking after onshore real estate assets, for example. So a lot of the local firms here are able to help clients with that. So new foundations here and in ADGM. So that's not something I'm personally involved in, but it's lovely to see that problem solved. And then from the offshore perspective, so I'm from Guernsey, obviously, but equally applies to our Jersey and Caribbean offices. We've been helping clients from the region sort of structure their more international assets. And I think industry-wide in private client, it's been a great time, COVID, in terms of business, because the deal maker clients have actually had time at home to sort of reflect and understand what they want to do with their winnings, whereas previously they're always on to the next project, on to the next sort of money-making initiative or whatever. So there has been
succession planning's risen up, hasn't it? The agenda.
Even things like, you know, simply getting a will organised, which isn't huge bucks for the lawyers, but it's so important, and clients have just taken a bit of time to put things like that in place.
And people being aware of mortality, isn't it? It's it's been a health crisis, and so it raises it up, doesn't it? And all of that.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So
and have you seen? You mentioned coming first, really 2009. Or have you seen the market develop here for the professional advisors you work with? And the clients as well, their sense.
It's changed a lot, actually. I think when I first got here, there were only a handful of private client advisors and trustees sort of coming in and out. But now you see people really setting up shop here. I came just as the financial crisis hit, so there was a lot of uncertainty and turmoil and things. But we've seen a lot of legislative change here, and a lot of people really investing in the region and setting up a branch here or an office here. And that's lovely to see. And speaking to people here on the intermediary front, it's clear that they're all busy, they're all recruiting. There's lots of work going on, which is obviously brilliant.
And as someone who travels in, I mean, what did you find on developing business here? You have to be here, is what people say, and show commitment. What was your journey in developing, nurturing good quality contacts on the ground? What was the key to it, do you think?
I think with the intermediary market, probably less so, but certainly with the local market, you're absolutely right. You have to show that you're committed to coming along, and it isn't just a question of sort of 1 or 2 meetings. It's sort of 10 or 15 meetings, getting to know multiple generations and dynamics and moving parts. So it's a long play, really, for the local market. Intermediaries are much quicker, so they will have had those conversations with the families, and sometimes we're sort of fortunate to sort of have the entry point of the intermediaries, and it's a much quicker sort of turnaround in terms of the client mandate.
Interesting. And just generally on sort of Guernsey and how Guernsey is perceived in the region, the recognition for the Channel Islands, and how you've kind of conducted business, I suppose, during this period when you couldn't travel.
Yeah.
What's your read on that?
I think Channel Islands have sort of been very much on the radar. Jersey Finance have done an incredible job in terms of profile raising and having bodies on the ground here and raising the profile of the Channel Islands. Jersey is particularly strong on the corporate side of things. Guernsey is sort of more boutique, maybe a bit more under the radar, and maybe better placed for the private clients. So where you've got corporatised private wealth, maybe a family might have something in both jurisdictions. But we haven't experienced any downturn in not being able to come. But I think being able to come back and refresh those contacts is always a good thing. So.
And do you think, I suppose, some of the means of communication that we've developed will just enhance relationships because you will be present, but also you'll be more contactable in different ways?
Absolutely. And we're all doing, things like this, pieces to camera, webinars, educational pieces, which is fantastic. And also obviously Zoom and Teams and great to see sort of the older generation getting on board with things like that as well. So, it's been a real learning curve for everybody. But I think in terms of efficiency and our carbon footprint, things like that, which are getting firmly on the radar at board level and a real consideration, I think we've been able to say, look, let's only do 2 trips a year, not 4, and we might do a virtual trip and then sort of see the contacts that we would normally see, but do that virtually, especially here through the summer where it's really, really hot and sort of quite difficult to get around. But yeah, definitely an increase in all of that virtual communication and things.
And are there any sort of hot topics you're seeing for the fiduciary market? Are you speaking to trustees on whether risk management or certain areas, disclosure? There's certain things in the industry that are hot topics. What are you finding that's occurring most frequently with people based here?
I think for us, private trust companies are still firmly on the radar. So clients who have operating companies where they know that they need to do something, but they're not perhaps ready to hand over control fully to a third-party trustee. So they may meet, the trust companies that have got representation here in the DIFC, build a relationship with them, have their own trust company for a while with those professional trustees involved. And then there's a transitionary period where the family step back from the board of the PTC and the third-party trustee comes in and takes over the reins. So that's something we've been doing quite a lot of. And clients who have existing private trust companies are adding different asset classes or branching out into different generations, and they're having their own spin-off structures. So that's been great. On the pensions and gratuity side, quite a lot of legislative change through the DIFC. So the story for offshore has been quite mixed. I think initially it was very, very positive, and there was a huge role for us potentially to work in conjunction with local providers. Now with the legislative changes that have come in, I think the role for offshore is a bit narrower in the DIFC, but the onshore piece or structuring for sort of global businesses is still very much there. So sort of shifting sands, pun intended. But yeah, so that's quite an active area and where we get a lot of inquiries as well.
Interesting. So Expo's in town. There's a real buzz around. I mean, what do you? Will you plan to get down to Expo? Have you? What's your take on it?
Really, I mean, it's a once in a lifetime thing to really go and see, and I've heard such great things about the Saudi stand and the UAE stand, and great things about the fish and chips in the UK stand. A colleague and I are hoping to go along on Saturday afternoon when it cools down a bit, just to check that out, definitely, while we're in town. So, great. And you, have you been and seen?
I haven't been yet, no, and I'm on a flying visit, so hopefully I will get, I know it's on for the next 6 months, so
I'll for a while, so yeah,
hopefully get back. Yeah. And I mean, for those as well staying for a bit longer, staying over a weekend, what's your sort of top tip if you have a weekend stay over here? What's good to do for people who are making trips?
I know this isn't very corporate, but the water park's amazing. I love a bit of casual dining. So, when you've been on a business trip and you're sort of on your best behaviour the whole time, and often in quite a high-end restaurants, it's lovely just to go for a sort of casual pizza and have an ice cream by the fountains and just chill in your shorts and t-shirt. There's nothing better. So that would be what I'm going to be doing at the weekend.
Brilliant.
So.
Well, Angela, lovely to talk to you as always.
To see you,
and look forward to sharing this with our members. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, David. Okay, see you next time.